Makers of the game, Garry's Mod, have discovered a secret within the game's code. After searching for a while, a user found many lines of code referring to a Garry DeKrazi. This mystery has left players baffled for years. Fortunately, this mystery would be uncovered soon after, but the story has haunted many since then. Garry DeKrazi Newman was quite a crazy guy. He was born on 1968 on September 13th, 1968. He was the much older brother of Garry Newman, founder of Garry's Mod. Those who knew Garry best would describe him as unstable, unpredictable, mad, mental, insane, and crazy. A lot of people pointed out that his middle name sounded like DeKrazi. Whenever people asked him, he would simply nod his head and chuckle to himself in a crazy manner. Some people would say that he was quite similar to a crazy person. In October of 2005, Garry mysteriously disappeared without a trace. A lot of people referred to Garry as Crazy Garry because of how mentally messed up he was. Many people have sent messages and emails to Garry, inquiring about his long-lost brother, but he would give the same response every time. We don't talk about him. Once during a live interview, Garry was asked about his brother Garry. He didn't say a word, and instead broke down into tears. Do you understand yet? Let us begin. In October of 1981, he was found sitting in a park completely by himself, all alone, with nobody around. When the police arrived, he was nowhere to be seen. This would only be the first of many signs of Garry's absolutely messed up brain. His birthday would then be 4 months later. In 1998, Garry mysteriously disappeared without a trace. However, he would reappear after several minutes of the locals searching for him. He would go on to create a very successful and popular game show called Crazy Garry's Crazy Game Show. All traces of the show has been lost to time. However, my great-grandfather still has a picture. Here, see? Look. It was said that Garry would do really messed up and crazy stuff on the show, so apparently he almost hurt someone when he lowered them into a vat of acid and piranhas. The show was very successful and very, very funny. Garry was practically a billionaire at this point. However, disaster would strike in 1999. Coincidentally, on that same day, the first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants would air. A mysterious fire broke out in Crazy Incorporated studio. It almost killed some people, but it didn't. Everyone managed to evacuate on time, apart from Garry. Garry did not make it to the exit on time, and burned in his own studio. However, luckily he survived. Unfortunately, his skin would be severely burnt and messed up, in a similar fashion to how his brain is messed up in a way. Dr. Fibblemummer tried his best to restore Mr. DeKrazi's skin. However, when he did, his skin remained a desaturated and creepy pale white. Garry would make a full recovery despite this though. Look, see?
Garry was a hero to many. Despite his craziness, he loved fishing with his brother Garry. After the catastrophic failure of his game show, he discovered a passion for game development and became quite a gamer himself. He loved video games. It was after the release of Half-Life 2 that Barry, Garry, and John had a bright idea. Garry decided that it would be a brilliant idea to create a mod for Half-Life 2, where you could do anything with zero limits. He called this Barry's Mod, as he was the main developer. They would then go on to found Facepunk Studios, and this drove Barry insane. On February 11th, 2005, because Barry was so crazy and kind of insane, him and Garry would get into a heated argument over their mod. Barry, heartbroken, would take some time to cool off after the argument by going to his favorite fishing spot, but unbeknownst to him, this would be the last place he'd be seen alive. Barry passed away peacefully that day due to falling into the lake while fishing, and then being eaten by a large amount of hungry piranhas, coincidentally on the same day as the first SpongeBob SquarePants movie was released. It was very freaky and creepy. You could see his blood and guts. That's how crazy it was, similar to how crazy he was.
Barry's life sure was twisted and crazy. A tragedy for sure. Garry, unable to cope with his brother's demise, took control of the mod, and in honor of Barry, renamed the mod to Garry's Mod. This would later become the majorly successful game, Garry's Mod. However, there was multiple rumors going around that the lake was haunted. Several days after Barry's death, locals would find every sea creature within a 100-meter radius found dead. Nobody knew what caused this, until they started to suspect that Barry's twisted and crazy mind had returned to wreak havoc upon their little town. Dr. Fibblemauma had returned after these rumors and took a sample of the lake for study. What he found was shocking. He found several traces of ghost substance, also known as remnant, in the water. He'd recognized the essence immediately as the man he once operated on. Several nights after this, Fibblemauma would be found dead in his laboratory. He was found with his head ripped off, and several piranha bites on his belly. The mysterious substance was also found missing from the laboratory. This is when Garry found a parcel at his front door. He took it inside to open it, and inside was a glass jar mixed with traces of the ghost substance. There was also a note left with it. The note said to empty the contents of the jar into Garry's state-of-the-art PC, and it would make the game run faster and have really cool graphics. Garry, not knowing what to do with his life anymore, obliged. Garry would then pour the gooey liquidy substance into the back of his computer. The note was right. The game was much faster and had beautiful, almost lifelike graphics. Some would say the game was almost too lifelike. When Garry sat down at his chair, he began playing his new beautiful game. He shed a tear looking down at his beautiful realistic game. This is when he saw a lake in the game. When he walked up to it, he heard crazy whispering. He could tell immediately that this must have been Barry's doing. He shouted, "Show yourself, Barry!" and then heard a really weird and creepy voice say, "Okay." Then a giant, crazy figure emerged from the lake.
"How dare you take what was mine? It was all I had in life,"
said the giant, evil Barry. Garry began shouting at his computer, No, I did not! I did this all for you, Barry, I promise, said Garry, now in tears.
"Ha ha 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 ha,"
said Barry, in a really creepy voice.
"Lies. You did it for the money, the fame, the greed. You are a horrible brother. I am going to make you pay for what you did to me."
The evil giant, crazy and a bit twisted Barry descended into the lake. Barry then punched Garry in the private parts, and he felt it in real life. Garry was shocked. He immediately closed the game and tried to remove all traces of Barry from his computer. Luckily, he succeeded. Or so he thought.
But the story is not over. Although Barry has mostly been forgotten, his memory lingers. To this day, players of Garry's Mod claim to have seen a mysterious black and white figure in their games, even in single-player mode. Legend has it that Barry is still making changes to the game, even in death, waiting for the perfect time to strike. So if you think you are safe in your Garry's Mod server, think again, because Barry certainly is the crazy.